Top of the morning. Hello, everybody. Good morning, and thank you very much for joining us here on Mahala Monday today. Hope you are just doing amazingly, and it is Women's Month. It is August, first week just about. Today's the 8th.
Today is the 8th, Dougal. I'm quite excited. Welcome everybody to Mahala Monday. Yes, and I believe the roads was quite empty this morning because a lot of people actually made it a long weekend, you know. So we're here to entertain you today. If you're sitting at home having your cup of coffee, enjoy it.
Yeah, no, it is. There's certainly, and of course, there's a very good reason Rhoda is saying that, because we all know what is happening tomorrow, and that is what we're going to be talking about. But now, as always, of course, this is a sort of give and a take show, and by that I mean, of course, your participation is awfully welcomed during this. So you can simply just drop us a comment. All very important. What you got to do is also like this and share it and get it out there, and let as many people watch this as possible. And we say hi to all of you. So yeah, but looking forward to your questions and comments as well. Comments, that is what we want, because the questions I will pass to Rhoda. I'm not going to answer anything myself. So we're live on YouTube. Good morning, Mahala Monday it is. It is, can I call it Women's Day Eve?
You could call that Women's Day Eve for sure, Dougal. Definitely.
It is Women's Day Eve. Yes, tomorrow it is, of course, National Women's Day in South Africa, which is a major significant day. And for a lot of argument, and certainly in my humble opinion, I think it is, there are 2 or 3 public holidays or days that is significant to us in the nation, and this one is right there for me.
Most definitely.
This is certainly the one.
It definitely is, Dougal. And you know what? You know my passion is women and empowering women. And this is one of those holidays that is extremely significant to highlight exactly the plight of our women out there and just give it a background a bit. And I think there's a lot of generation, the younger generation, actually don't know the history necessarily. They just know it's a National Women's Day. But they know there was a march, but they don't even know the significance of it. And, you know, this is why we're here today as well, just to talk a little bit about that. And it's extremely dear to my heart and close to my heart, definitely. So
wherever you're watching this from, of course, in South Africa, August is National Women's Month. And then on the 9th of August, we have National Women's Day. Now, there's also an International Women's Day, which happens at a completely different time, a bit earlier in the year.
That's in March,
that takes place. But for South African significance, the 9th of August is the date. So you touched on, and just to be clear, because we're going to talk about what this day was. So this was what, 1956?
That's right.
What, 66 years?
That's 66 years, exactly. And I mean, if you look at the picture we've got on the screen right now, that was the march. It was estimated at 20,000 women, all races, descending onto Pretoria. So it didn't matter your color, basically your race, what religion, they all stood together and over 20,000. I mean, look at that picture. I mean, look how amazing is that?
Nah, there's quite a lot of people in there, isn't it?
A lot.
And I mean, 20,000 in 1956, that must have felt like a gazillion people, because, do you know what I mean? Can you imagine 20,000 people? And then, of course, they descended there. Now, as you all know, of course, South Africa has got a pretty checkered history, if I can call it that. We all know what it is about. And they went there and they went with petitions, didn't they?
They went with petitions because that time, you know, everybody had to have a pass to be able to move around and walk around and that. And one of the reasons why they actually did this was the fact that if they have the pass as women, it would impact the communities, because you know what, if you're looking at the time and the era that time, a woman was a very important role in the family. So had to be seen to the family, had to go and work, bring in food, you know, also do a bit of what the men were doing, but more family orientated. And this is the reason why they walked, because they just felt that the pass on the woman would significantly impact them. And you know what, one of the things that they actually mentioned, I mean, there's 3 things they mentioned why they actually did this. One of them was the fact that they were not comfortable with having to do the march and having a pass and being stopped by a policeman, because that time they didn't have police ladies. And you as a woman were searched by a man.
And I was going to ask you that, because we were going to get to that a bit as well. So, I mean, obviously, we know with apartheid there were some silly laws. Let's be honest. Not some, all. Let me just rephrase that. Like, not silly, horrible, just all of those kind of rules that were there. So the passes were one of them. It was an absolute nightmare. It was absolutely stupid. I mean, just thinking about it just sounds stupid. And so you had the passport. But now, so at the time, as a female, you would have been searched by a male.
That's right, Dougal. I mean, how that for me, just thinking about it makes me want to cringe at, somebody else touching you, so yeah.
But now you're thinking of it as of today in 2022.
Exactly.
Imagine thinking of this in the backdrop of heavy apartheid, heavy segregation,
So true. Yeah.
heavy marginalization.
So true.
Thinking of that then.
And it wasn't subtle, obviously. It was a very aggressive way of actually having to search you, because if you look at some of the videos on how they were, patting the men down and how they were searching and looking at them. Now imagine you as a woman having to be touched all over like that, and the aggressiveness of it all, it's, for me, it's a violation.
Yeah, no, it certainly is. And thankfully we don't do this.
Oh,
do
yeah.
you think that because there was a big thing around this, and it wasn't a big thing, it was just common sense. The woman, the ladies who went there, that marched, this was just common sense. But because, this was something, it was so well documented that this was one of the reasons. Obviously, it now stood the test of time. And you think that's where we as society have sort of adapted with that? Because they've made a big stink about it.
They made a big stink of it, definitely, Dougal. And you know what? For me, I take my hat off because of the fact that, in politics of today, they always kind of make little boxes on saying that this party did this and this color did this. If you look at what these women did, and I know there's a photo, look at that.
Yeah.
It was representative of all ladies. It doesn't matter what color you were, who you were, what your religion was. And that exactly was the plight and the fight of the woman back then. And, somehow I think in our kind of way, the plot was a bit lost today because of the fact that we as a nation stood together, and they're the four ladies. That is Rihanna Mosa, Lillian Goy, Helen Joseph, and Sophia Williams.
And those are names that are so familiar to us as South Africans.
Exactly. And if the youth of today, just looking at that picture, look at all its ballots, not ballots, sorry.
The petitions.
Petitions. And I mean, they represented, and can you imagine that time, those four ladies walking with this and having to go and actually give this?
Yeah.
It's scary.
Because here's the number thing. I mean, we're talking 20 years, an estimated number of, wow, look at that. That's, do you know what I mean? We're talking estimated 20,000 people going to the union buildings as part of the march. Can you imagine how many names are on those petitions?
Can you imagine? Imagine you're the one receiving that.
That's now a big number.
Sitting with that, that's a big number. And this, the plight of the woman, this shows exactly, we want change. There's no way you're going to allow a woman to walk with a pass and just to stop exactly what was happening at that time. You know? So hats off to these ladies. I mean, I would have probably been so scared standing there knowing exactly what you're being faced up. I mean, there's policemen, there's, anything could have happened. It could have gone awry, there could have been, a fight. But you know what, look at that. They actually made it. They took those petitions and bam, on the desk.
You know what, and we're talking unparalleled courage here. We're talking at a time when women in general was just, I mean, today we know women are marginalized. Let's not mince our words here.
Exactly.
We know that is exactly the case. But now, that time,
can you imagine the fear?
Imagine the courage.
Yeah.
Imagine the courage. And this was the thing. Because, I mean, the rules in itself was quite silly. So, and we just want to say thank you to Africa Media Online, because that's where we're getting all the pictures from, which is brilliant. And, of course, you can search for those type of pictures just to, sort of cement what has happened over time. But what I want to say is, for the past laws now, you get arrested because you out of curfew, out of place or whatever, you're breaking up a home.
So true.
And all of that was sort of geared, that whole system was sort of geared to breaking up homes, to make sure there is no harmony.
There's no harmony. And I think if people actually look at this as well, Danelle, happy Monday fam, same to you Danelle. just on that, Dougal, I think everybody could kind of relate, I would say. Similar, not the breaking up necessarily of homes, but also kind of, you can actually call it the breaking up of homes. With COVID, when we actually had curfews, can you imagine? That was exactly similar to, you can't be out this time, you can't do this, you can't do that. You get arrested, and not in a nice way. You'll be thrown in a van and taken to jail. So we had a taste of it, and it kind of took me a bit back when this happened with us during COVID. Was a case of, wow, was this what we felt, our people felt
Yeah.
when, you know, there was curfews like this, you know, stopping people from a certain time. You're not allowed to be on the road. You had to be at home. And if you didn't make it in time, you actually, wherever you were, you had to leave. You had to stay
Yeah.
there because you couldn't get out on the road. You couldn't be thrown in the police van.
Yeah. You know what? There's so many things that come up with this because one of the big things was, I mean, obviously with the pass laws and all of that, it limited women to move freely within their own country,
Exactly.
within their own place of birth. But
Yeah.
now it is funny that the law dictated it, and today we've created a society where it is near impossible for women to do exactly that. And that is only because, not because we're flawed, it's because we haven't been as progressive as we wanted to be, and that we do stupid things. And we all know this is where GBV comes in and all sorts of other things. So it is just, you know, it's horrible in a lot of ways. But 66 years, what, 66 years?
66
You know, my
years.
maths on a Monday morning. But 66 years, and you know what, I'm just wondering, I mean, if you would imagine, like, assume you were 20 at the time, I would put you, you know, mid-80s
It would.
already. But
Oh, wow.
it would be quite a thing to hear a story, you know, actually I've never had a personal chat with somebody who was actually part of this. But a woman descended on this day, well, tomorrow then, in 1956 to the Union buildings, and of course to draw attention to pass laws, and they took it there to
Yeah.
the man in charge at the time, which
Yeah.
was Straydom, if I remember
Straydom, that's
correctly.
right, and right.
Yeah, and they took it there.
And there was one song which is, you know what, which resonates with us
Yeah.
till today, is the song they were singing, if you strike a woman, you strike a rock.
Yeah,
You know,
that
and
is it.
that for me is exactly that. It's so important, you know. And because, you know what, talking from a woman's point of view, is the fact that you as a woman, irrelevant you're a mother or if you're not a mother, you know what, you stand your ground at the end
Yeah.
of the day. You're going to strike me, I'm going to get up and I'm going to move on. You know, so it comes down to the fact that if you're going to strike a woman, you're going to really strike a rock, because we're going to keep on going. We're going to keep on going. We're not going to fall back.
And you know what? And I gotta I gotta say this, and I say this as a man, the resilience of our people, and especially women in the face of proper adversity.
Wow.
I mean, we all know this.
We all
I mean,
know
we all know single. One-parent households, you know, single
yeah.
moms. We all know this, and most people have been raised that sort of way. In a way, you're almost lucky if you had both parents.
If you
We
had
all
both
know it, but the
parents.
resilience has been outstanding, and it is incomprehensible even in a lot of ways. So that is brilliant. But touching back to what happened on that day, that kind of paved the way
Yeah. And
with
it-
that march.
And it paved the way on equality as well, because one of the things they were marching for was equality as well.
Yeah.
Standing out as a woman, being treated, you know what? At the end of the day, I'm working just as hard as you. Why is there a difference between the two of us? So having to state there need to be equality within. And you know what the saddest part, Dougal? 66 years later, we're still sitting with problems of inequality.
And we're going to get to that. We're going to get to that.
Oh, it just makes me so mad.
So the reason we highlighted you, this is what is the significance of tomorrow. It is remembering that specific day.
Oh, yeah.
It's remembering the saying in the song, you know, strike a woman, strike a
Strike a
rock.
rock.
That is what all played down in 1956 tomorrow. All right? And there we have it, 20,000 women, and that kind of paved the way. That kind of paved the way for emancipation to follow, but more importantly for the voiceless to have their voices heard, which was super important. And this is what I want to stress, because in the month of August, we get bombarded by women discussion panels. Nothing wrong with it, brilliant, but it's almost, and I don't want to, I'm not preaching, and also I'm not taking shots here, but the dudes, the men, you can't be silent here.
Definitely not.
You can't be. And I've got nothing wrong with having just all women's panels, because, you know, it's from a different perspective. But I still feel now that the men should actually be the one taking the lead in this. I think for the last 20 years, everything I've witnessed is just men is doing this. They're
Exactly.
just, you know, staring at the floor, staring at the ceiling,
Exactly.
or whatever. And really, we should be taking the lead.
Exactly.
That's what it boils down to.
And Dougal, exactly on that. I mean, I can vouch for experiencing inequality at work, on having been told in my face that, you know what, And this will be talking about how many years after even Nelson Mandela was released, I was told, oh, they can't give me a raise because of the fact, what if I'm going to have a baby? So it's like, what, excuse me? Yeah. So for me, it's a case of, you know what, just coming out of apartheid, having to make changes within our country. Here you're sitting at the desk and, you know, my counterpart, which was basically, obviously a white male, getting increases left, right and center, being there for just, 6 months. And my thing was like, why are you getting all of this? And I was working there 2 years and I didn't get a single increase. So, you know, highlighting this, the question was raised, what if I'm going to have babies?
But you didn't have the baby at the time.
I had no kids. There was no intentions.
2 years of graft.
Exactly. Thank you very much. So, you know what? This is what I experienced within that time frame. And I'm scared to tell you, I'm not 100% sure what other women are experiencing out there as well.
And this happens. I mean, we see this, the glass ceiling, all of this. I mean, I can't speak like an expert on women's issues, but it happens. It absolutely happens in this day and age. It absolutely happens. Case in point, I mean, we've got brilliant sports people in this country. Amazing. They do as well as they do, but let's call it what it is. Banyana, amazing. They just came back with a trophy, won the tournament, African Cup of Nations, brilliant, fantastic champions of the continent. The boys, maybe it's not the league we should be playing in with the boys. I'm sorry, but no. So here's the thing. Our female soccer stars who gave us that huge enjoyment. And I'm specifically talking about them because all the other sporting codes are doing brilliant. At the moment at the Commonwealth Games, boy, we're cleaning up. All of them are doing brilliant. But I'm just saying, when it comes to, and we're talking equal pay now, and I want to use this as an example because I know it was a hot topic, and even the president said the other day, this is something we need to address ASAP. It's not something we should address ASAP. This should have been done. This should have been done. And sadly, this is not a case of where government has to step forward because government don't know what's going on. This is not a case where corporate should be stepping forward. They're like, oh, okay, we would like to volunteer. No. We as people need to change and we as people need to demand this.
Exactly.
This is where it is. When you leave it to the next guy to do, it's not going to happen.
It's not going to happen.
It is not going to happen. I just feel quite strongly about this. We can't be having a conversation of equal pay in 2022.
Exactly.
What nonsense is this?
And you know what? I mean, 2 years ago, or even within 2 years ago, I was basically, me personally, I brought on something on Facebook the one day because I was a bit crazy and I was mad at that stage because everything was just about the men's soccer and the men rugby and the men cricket, and you know, there was no, and I kind of saw on social media, and you know what, this is where social media also plays an important role, was the fact that I saw that the ladies cricket team had basically won, but nothing was mentioned on social media. So I was actually I actually put it out and I said, why is nothing being mentioned about our female sports?
You know what, Rhoda, and
it's only now we're starting to slowly being exposed, slowly.
But there's various reasons, and I know it's easy to say let's have equal pay across the board, but now we're looking at broadcasting rights, you know, where the money is being spent. We're looking at all of and these are the things that are supposed that dictate pay. But these shouldn't be the things that dictate the pay. I can understand that. People from business people go, yeah, but if the boys are playing, I'm selling out. When the girls are here, I'm not. Whatever the reason is, these are not the reasons why we should. As soon as we change, we can't have this conversation another 6 years.
No.
That's what you can do. And now what I can tell you is, like, around about at the time when that march happened, I mean, you're looking at a population of what, 14 million people?
Exactly.
And that's 1956.
Yeah. And
where we're now.
Exactly. And you know what? One of the banners which I watched there was, you know what? They were saying you must march for the future of our children. And that's exactly what they wanted. The things to be changing because they knew at that point obviously the change wasn't going to happen immediately. It needed to happen basically for
Yeah.
our generations. You know what I'm saying?
You know what, and I would love to hear if you have suggestions. Sadly, this is where we will have the suggestion. It is not going to happen in the forums and our leaders that we think is going to do it. They're not going to do it. They haven't done it up until now. What the hell are they going to do it tomorrow? They're not going to do it. This is where I would actually like to hear, and I see some comments there as well, and we're going to get to that. But before, and actually let's do that. Hubert is here. Hello, Hubert.
Hello, Hubert.
Hubert says the test for whether or not you can hold a job should not be the arrangement of your chromosomes. Exactly.
Exactly. That is
Exactly.
so true. Yeah.
If you can perform at the level that is required and the job pays X, you get X.
Exactly.
Doesn't matter what you look like, what your religious orientation, or wherever the hell you come from. We can't be having, and it's 2022. We had this conversation last year. I
So true.
bet you, whatever I have in my wallet, which is not a lot, I'm sure it's a 60 cents, I bet you we're going to have that conversation next year again. And,
true.
and it brings me back, and sorry, I might go a little bit off point here, but it brings me back to the thing is, and I see this happen a lot. Women's Day in South Africa was creating the awareness of and let's be honest, and might just think that Women's Day was only to liberate women issues. It wasn't. It was for the bigger picture. However, women highlighted the inequalities a little bit more to them because the men didn't do it. We were mute. We were useless. We didn't do it. The thing is, tomorrow is not going to be Mother's Day. Let's be very clear. This is not Mother's Day.
Yeah.
This is not Mother's Day. And I've had issue with this where I've had strong conversations and differed completely. And I'm talking about people I spend a lot of time with, family and all of that. This is not Mother's Day. On a day like tomorrow, when I have a daughter,
Oh, yeah.
we have the conversation of our history and the role of woman.
yeah.
But the role of woman is only defined because the man and the woman has a role together. It is not a separation anymore.
I know.
So that is what I normally do.
Yeah.
Now, I
Exactly.
do that, and I'm being quite personal here, I do that with the annoyance of a lot of other people. But it's not Mother's Day. In my opinion, it's not Mother's Day. If you think it's Mother's Day, good luck to you.
Yeah.
It's not Mother's Day.
It's not Mother's Day. And it's exactly what you say there, Dougal. You know what? You got a daughter, I got a daughter. And my daughter's now basically 21. And for me, I've always encouraged her that whatever anybody can do, you can do better. So irrelevant of who you are, where you come from, you basically can do anything. Nothing is impossible. We weren't raised like that back in the day. We were basically told, no, you can only do this and you can only do that as a woman, you can only do this. So now everything is open. You can become a pilot. A woman can be a pilot, you know?
Yeah.
There's so much more for our daughters. And we as the parents need to encourage them. And I think more you as fathers, because of the fact that, you know, once a man stands up for a woman, it just makes it so much, it makes a big difference. And you know what, Dougal, and I'm just speaking for a lot of women out there as well, and those that families that actually has mothers, and we know for a fact there's some cases where there is no mothers around, but in most cases, the woman is really kind of the backbone of the family. So, you know, just having to uplift and make everything sure everything is going. So, it is.
Do you know what? Here's the thing. When men do nothing, when you just mute, silent, and I've said this, we've stood there. That's been basically it. You complicit in sort of
So true.
repeating the inequalities and all of that.
Exactly.
You perpetuating a cycle that shouldn't exist.
That shouldn't exist.
It shouldn't exist.
Yeah.
But that is the essence of what tomorrow is about, Rhoda. Now, of course,
Exactly.
there's a lot happening. And I just want to say as well, in no way am I rehashing and sort of bringing up history and touching on people's sensitivities. But come now, man. Come now. Anyway, Hubert's got a comment. What does he say? It's an indictment that we're having this conversation. I long for the day that there will be no female leaders. There will just be leaders.
There
Absolutely
we go.
right. And
Most
that is what it comes
There
down
we
to.
go.
He's hit it on the head there.
Exactly.
Leader's a leader.
A leader's a leader.
You know, yeah, he absolutely hit it on the head. And I take issue with, I mean, and I've said this before, and I've said it before on this platform, I take issue even with political organizations. I can understand why political organizations have a woman's side, and a youth side, and an old people side, and an in-betweeny side. I can understand why it was, because that's how it was in 1956. I don't live in 1950. I wasn't there. I'm here now.
That's true.
You know, and as soon as you do that, it means no, that, because you know what it feels like to me when somebody says, no, the youth must be there, and the woman must be there, and the mature people must. Do you know what you're doing? I can't sit at the main table. I need to go sit at the kiddies table.
Kiddies table.
That's what you're doing. That's what you're doing.
Exactly.
Now, if you're still doing that, good luck to you. I can't say the word, but you can imagine what I'm thinking. Good luck to you.
Good luck to you, for sure.
And that is where it is. And now people cannot understand the frustration that is building. And that is why people can't understand why you're always throwing up the past. Because of that.
Because, yeah.
It's still happening. You don't see it. People don't understand. It brings the whole conversation. And I know it's a sensitive thing when people say privilege. People don't want to hear that. But you got to understand it. The mere fact is, if you are, nice. Nobody is saying, well, a cappella. All people just acknowledge. So when you say and make suggestions, your suggestion is not really coming from a place that has been suffering.
Suffering, exactly.
If it makes sense. Do you know what I mean?
It's so true.
And it's almost like the purpose of the brutalized is not to comfort the bystander. It's only a suggestion. All right, I'm getting angry.
You're getting angry.
So, Women's Day tomorrow is not Mother's Day. That's what I'm saying.
It's not Mother's Day.
Now, there's a lot happening as well, because it is all about celebrating women.
Right.
It is celebrating how far we have come, although in my humble opinion, maybe not that far, but let's be honest, we have actually come very, very, very far.
Yeah.
And of course, it is a day that you don't have to work. It is a public holiday. So today and throughout the weekend, there's been loads of events and concerts and really nice things to enjoy. We really see amazing talent and just sort of indulge.
Definitely. So there's quite a bit happening, Dougal, and one of the places that I'm extremely excited about is Artscape. And you know, when doing some research and that, oops, sorry guys, that's my laptop. I did some research in that, and you know, Artscape is basically taking this month of August and just doing women shows and everything around women. So I'm quite happy and excited about that. I went to go watch one of their shows as well. It was very lovely. And I would love to go see the one on Wednesday, on Tuesday as well. So I'm still going to be booking my tickets for that one. But guys, go look at Artscape. They've got quite a bit of a list of events that's happening there. As you can see. Oh, sorry, you can't see. Let me just have a look.
And also where you are in your area. It doesn't matter in which part of the world you are in and which part in the country you are in. I mean, I'm sure there are loads of shows and wonderful things happening.
That's happening.
And also, I just want to stress this, and just from a performance side as well. I mean, obviously, just with the backdrop of just exiting COVID a little bit, you know, it is good for us to support it. So yeah, there it is. So Artscape's got a women's Humanity Arts Festival
from
for all of August, basically.
Exactly, from the 1st to the 27th. There's a whole lot. Go have a look, guys. Look at the shows, and you know what? Go and book. It's like you said, Dougal. Go support our artists. You know, everything is open now, and these are the guys that's been struggling, and you know what? We need to support them as well.
Yeah.
You know, they've got families to feed as well.
Yeah.
And then one of the other places I actually had to look is Quicket as well. There's quite a bit happening there as well. So go and find out, and you know what? Go and support this show and go and support these artists.
Yeah, and there's a couple of ideas. There's some really great shows as well for you to just indulge in. And you know what? And it's entertaining, and it is brilliant, and then of course, it hits on the right strings, and it just showcases immense talent that we have. We do have another comment there that I actually want to touch base before we wrap up, and that is what humans are saying. Yes to strong women. May we know them, may we be them, may we raise them. Happy Women's Day.
Thanks,
There we go.
Hubert.
Thank you, Hubert,
Beautiful.
for that. And it is really an amped way as well to basically just wrap up the show, Rhoda. The one thing I want to say, we need to do a better job. And I think, and we say this year on year. We have this conversation, it's almost like a repeat year on year. And we're entering the bit where we're going to do 16. It's coming soon, just a couple of months or two. when we enter 16 days of activism
yeah.
and all of that.
That's right.
I mean, you said to me just before we started the show that you said to me that when it comes to gender-based violence, that's endemic. I mean,
It's an epidemic. There's a problem.
That's huge.
Yeah.
So we're having this conversation in circles a lot. And the big thing is let this be the year where we
Try and make a change, make a difference.
where we do it, but actively do it. Don't be an innocent bystander. If you're a man or you think you know what, speak out when you see these things. Don't perpetuate the cycle. And this is what you got to do. You can't be quiet. You
silent,
can't be
yeah.
mute.
Exactly.
Then you might as well be doing it.
You actually doing it as well, Dougal, and just stand up. And I mean, I myself had an experience of actually jumping in front of a man that was hitting his wife around. And I jumped in front of him and I said, go ahead, hit me. And everybody else was standing around. And this is a sad part of it. Everybody stands around and like they're so used to it, they don't do anything or say anything about it. But we need to stand up and say, no, this is wrong. And I want to say to the ladies out there as well, you know what? If you feel that you're scared and that, you can go to the police stations. And I know for a fact some of the police stations actually have safe homes where you can actually just go and sit and be in the safety, and they call it a safe room. So I know where Business Against Crime actually went up, set up a few rooms like that. So don't feel at the end of the day that you have to actually go through this, and for the families and people that the people at the end of the day that's actually seeing this and they know of it, and you know that your uncle is hitting his wife, as we say, you're also complacent, you're allowing this at the end of the day. And women, don't think, oh, I deserve this, it was me, and this is always the abuser, always thinking that it was their fault, that they at fault, it was them. No human on this earth, even if a woman is smacking a man around, you're not allowed to do that. It's just
nobody
not
wants to be smacked. Nobody wants to be bullied.
Nobody wants to be bullied. So stand up at the end of the day. I know it's sometimes very difficult, Dougal, because I think a lot of women face, where to from here, how am I going to survive, what am I going to do? Unfortunately, if you look at our stats, you look at the amount of women that's being killed and the brutality of it, it's unacceptable. This needs to stop. It needs to stop. And we as a community must stand up and say, and you know what, this is what I'm liking what's happening at the moment, with this minds that's happening where the communities has taken up action and said, you know what, we're going to put our foot down, we're going to make a change. And we always say this, we can't wait on government necessarily, it needs to be us.
And this is the thing, when the authorities aren't doing something, mob justice pops out. I mean, every 2-3 years, there's a big example within our South African spectrum. Huge. Yeah. So we shouldn't do that. We shouldn't be there. We should be able to guide ourselves, and the things that are in place should be followed. We can't have this conversation year in and year out. Yeah. What we need to be grateful for is realize what happened on the day of the 9th of August 1956, because it made our lives a little better. It amplified what was about to change years later. For that, we've got to be grateful, and for that amount of energy and for that amount of hard work, and not just that day, for decades after that, that went into changing the South African landscape. That is what we got to appreciate. That is what we got to celebrate. Understand that, yes, we are different, but at the end of the day, we're not different at all. We all have blood, we all have oxygen, we all want the same thing. It is regardless of where you come from, or the one thing is just where we are going. And we need to go where nobody feels like they're left behind, they are marginalized, and you certainly mustn't feel like you carrying somebody on your shoulder. We'll all do something together. And that is ultimately what it is all about. So, Rhoda.
Yes.
Ja, ek het genoeg gesê.
Het genoeg gesê. Guys, you know what? As we said, it is a celebration also of, our women out there tomorrow. So, enjoy it and go and have a look at some of these shows. You know what? Do something different at the end
Yeah.
of the day.
And I like the fact that you brought up some shows because it's always entertaining
Exactly.
to go and do it. So tomorrow is Women's Day, and whatever you choose to do,
Oh,
we
yeah.
hope it's a peaceful one and, of course, an enjoyable one, and also time for you to reflect on exactly what happened on that day in 1956, the 9th of August, and how it has certainly changed the landscape forever in South Africa. So enjoy tomorrow, reflect on that, and of course, try and create an environment around you, everybody,
Exactly.
that is one that you are proud of and one that you certainly want to be in. And thank you very much for watching, and that basically
Yep.
wraps up the show for today.
Yes. Have a fabulous day tomorrow, guys.
Like and share, and we'll see you soon. Bye-bye.